KT legit has a chance. Like, I fucking hate this KT team, Thorin. I fucking hate them. They are everything.
Essentially, Monty, what they've done is they themselves are the humanoid team of League of Legends. Because you know what I say with humanoid? What I do is this. I'm always out on him. And then the second I'm out, he has one game that's good. And I'm like, hey, maybe he's actually good. And then he just runs it down immediately. Like, that's exactly what this team does. Like, the second you're like, I was almost out. And then they pull me back in. It's like that shit. Like, now you have to give them a flicker of hope. Only a flicker, though. Because I know what you mean. The problem with this team is it just fundamentally doesn't work. But it does still have some good players. So it's just a fucking mess, isn't it? Just a mess.
Yeah. Like, I hate them because, Thorin, why am I cursed with KT? Because for the longest time, you know, KT, my favorite versions of KTB, they just didn't win. What was the first KT team to win? Of course, KT Arrows, which I fucking hated because they were like the worst team to ever win an actual Champions tournament. Hachani was a complete fraud. They were beating one of the Samsung teams, which was much more stable. And what do they do? Yep. Of course, can't even make it to Worlds that year because they completely just flop and fall on their faces. Rookie just leaves Korea forever after that. So the best part of that team is just gone.
Think how mad this is, guys. At least at that point, if Monte had pivoted to KT Arrows and they stay there, Monte would have actually been riding the only true rival to Faker on the other team. The joke is, for Monte's team, Faker stays forever in Team 1. Rookie goes, am I about to become a generational talent? I'll just leave the region and go to China forever.
And then do nothing. He wins one Worlds and is just trapped in garbage teams for the rest of his career.
I love it.
So, I mean, it is torturous. And so then, you know, KT made the super team. Well, I guess they just lose to Rookie in in the year that.
Monty, I actually think logically that should even be connected as a sub-narrative. Technically, Monty's Rookie's cursed career is just an inheritor of the KT curse, obviously, because, mate, like you say, even when he won Worlds, the joke is that would have worked. And then right after, they were supposed to win that MSI, they lost to fucking Team Liquid. Like, it's actually true. They are the most. Anyone who touches this org is cursed forever. Like, here's what I would actually like to do. Here's where I am actually evil, T1 fans. You've finally done it. You finally made me. I'm like Frankenstein's monster. I was trying to live with that blind guy and help him, but you fucked with me again, and now I've just had to go fully evil and have one after that. So I'm going to have to go. After this segment, I'll put myself on a fucking ice shard and just drift off on fire, burning, immolating myself in this passionate rant. Because here's what I would say. The only way we could truly know A/B testing, if KT is a cursed org, is we need to go back in time and we need to convince them to get Faker instead of T1. And I want to see Faker play his whole career in KT Rolster, and I want to see what happens. Can he, like Flash, defy the curse, or will he actually succumb like every other mortal? That's what I want to know.
So maybe this is one of those. Maybe this is one of those things like the Boston Red Sox, where it's like, you know, they had Babe Ruth, but when they didn't have Babe Ruth anymore, like they got cursed. Okay, yes. So maybe they had Flash, and then now that Flash, you know, isn't on KT anymore, so they have they have maybe the greatest esports player of all time in Flash. Yeah. Like, we can have that debate. He's certainly in the conversation. And then now that Flash is no longer playing StarCraft for them, that's where it starts to go downhill.
Well, seems like
can't win after that. But the reason why I hate this team, guys, is because I hate the narrative of like the DRX getting back together, because DRX is like giga fraudulent, right? And you know, Thorin, what I hate most about this is, why couldn't they just actually get DRX to get back together? Why couldn't, if they're going to get DRX together, can we please trade BDD for Zeka? Can we get BDD onto Hanwha Life, for the love of God?
He doesn't want to remake DRX because DRX won Worlds. He wants it as like a prison that they're all consigned to, so they can't like escape and fuck up all the other teams. That's I know.
Dude, they deserve each other. I just want like the Chernobyl reactor.
They can have everyone except Deft. Yeah, exactly. I'm with you.
Chernobyl was a very fine working power plant for a number of years, but once it exploded, you need to actually entomb it in just tons of concrete to keep it there. That's what I need KT or whatever team wants to reunite DRX. That's what I need it to do right now. And the fact that Kingen and Zeka are still out there being terrorists on other teams is just unacceptable. So why can't we get Deft out? Can we get Deft out? And then can we just put all of the rest of them into KT, please? So
I mean, all I'm going to say is this, Monty. They had 5 players who only a year and a bit ago were the world champions of League of Legends. Spoiler, none of them are in the top 2 teams in the LCK right now. Not a single one of those players who's in one of the top teams. Like, I'm not saying what that might imply, but it does imply something, doesn't it? I'm just saying, you know.
So what people will point out,
the exodus was it? It was fucking, you know, they didn't really go and win championships.
This team just tilts me so much because honestly, Thorin, the series that they played against Gen.G was a fucking terrible series. Those were terrible games by Gen.G and by KT. That was some fucking trash ass League of Legends, guys. Like Gen.G played appallingly badly. KT played appallingly badly. You'll look at those games and be like, wow, Pyosik had some great games. He did, guys. Pyosik is playing wonderfully right now. That's not why I hate Pyosik. I hate Pyosik because he turns back into a pumpkin every single time. There has not been a time in his career where he hasn't turned back into a pumpkin.
Well, he himself is a razor cake. He's just a jungle razor cake. That's true.
He's like the ultimate
every time
player
you think he's
razor
legit,
cake.
he's going to betray you completely so badly. Yeah, I know.
So you guys are all like, wow, look how good Pyosik is. Here's why you think that. Here are the games that you watched, fans. Here are the games you watched. You watched 2022 Worlds. You watched him play at 2023 Worlds and almost beat T1 with that amazing Lee Sin game. And now you're watching KT pull off these upsets and him being really good. You did not see the years where he was fucking terrible. You didn't watch the season of 2022 where he was garbage for most of the time on DRX. Like, they literally had to sub Juhan
I was going to say that.
They had to sub Juhan in because
it
was so fucking bad.
There was a title on Reddit that was like Juhan World Championship Jungler comments, and all the people were going in the comments like, World Champion. It's like, yeah, you forgot that Pyosik during his Worlds one was getting subbed out, guys, for the fucking Juhan guy.
They literally had to sub in Juhan to get to Worlds.
Yes.
Like, you guys didn't watch this
shit.
Right,
he played the professional. Yes, you're right. He was. He was a whole bunch of games. Yes, you're right. When they were beating Live Sandbox. Yeah, true. True.
You know, it was a team that was not supposed to be at the World Championship. Pyosik was such a dumpster fire that they were subbing him out. Guys, Beryl looks good now, but for every Alistair game against T1 that Beryl actually pops off on, he's had some good games. I do want to give him that. During the Gen.G game, he almost just inted game 2 by himself. He magically lived from doing some really dumb overextending on Nautilus in the mid lane. If he dies right there, Gen.G maybe gets Baron and then they win the game. Like, instead, KT gets Baron because he walks too far forward and then he manages to dodge a Jarvan ult by using Nautilus Hook, which looked like a fucking giga janky interaction that shouldn't have even happened. So, like, in what universe are we praising this team? They are not even playing very good League of Legends, right? We are going to bet on them versus T1, by the way.
So, yeah, don't worry about that. Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
By the way, just for comedy purposes, I'll very briefly tell people. Obviously, people saw, I think it was the fucking, it was that Nongshim game, you know, where he played Rammus for a game. Monty.
Yes. Oh my God.
I don't know if you saw this. The headline on Reddit was fucking amazing because listen to what the headline was.
Okay.
The headline was, Pyosik, this is apparently Deft said this. Pyosik kept appealing during scrims that he learned Rammus while he was in NA and he always wins when he plays it. So we thought we'd play it and we had the chance and today was that day. So like, bro, this guy, he's the only elite Korean who's learning shit from NA and taking it back home. Like, this is so whack.
He's being taught the dark arts, man.
No, I know. What's he doing? Like the joke is, are we going to send Deft over there and he comes back doing tactical fucking Tristana jumps into the team fights? So what are we doing? Well, in NA, I learned this is the best engage.
And also, like, this was really the first series that we had seen Gen.G kind of differentiate from the script that they had been playing for a lot of the season, which is that we typically see Canyon on tanks, on engaged tanks, right? And he wasn't playing Rel. He wasn't playing Sejuani. He wasn't playing Maokai in this series. He was playing like skirmishers like Jarvan and Jin Zhao. And like, sure, should Gen.G be a good enough team to adapt to this and play around that? Yes, they're all super veteran players, but they didn't play well around that in this series. They played an absolute trash game. And later that week, they came up against Hanwha. They completely dumpstered Hanwha in the 2-0 that they got. And guess what? Kenyon's on Lee Sin, Kenyon's on Rel. These are engaged, like big time engaged champions again, and they cleaned up a lot of their play. Like Keen had a bad day also. Like Keen kind of had a bad day against KT. I'm not sure how prepared they were for KT. But anyway, like, yes, it was a huge upset. Pyosik played super well. Like Pyosik is playing super well right now, but I'm just saying I've seen this before. And so I'm waiting for, I'm just waiting for their performance to drop off, because I just don't think it's sustainable with some of the other teams that they have in the league.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.